I recently returned from a trip to the Apostle Islands for 2 nights and 3 days with my wife and my son. I had a lot of people on a Facebook group for sovereign sailboats wonder how I fit everything into this little boat. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I've done to make it manageable for 3 people. Up front, I keep bedding. It's not there right now because I'm packing the boat up. But I'd keep bedding and pillows would be shoved up there while we cruise. In this storage compartment here is where I'd keep our clothing. I initially had one just kind of duffel bag for clothing, and it was a little difficult with 3 people's clothing in it, so I got these 20-liter sacks now from Osprey, and they'll hold 3-4 days worth of clothes, so that now we have 3 separate clothing storage options so that it's easier to access. On the opposite side of the V berth is where I'd keep a bag with emergency clothing. This is a dry bag, 25 liters. I kept things like down coats and mittens and hats and some pants to change into in case we got wet, cold, or had to evacuate, that we'd have some dry clothing if we needed it. Also kept in just various like bags. There's a bug screen here and a little solar shower that we didn't use because we didn't need to, but we don't go in and out of this one very much because the wiring panel is right here, so I just try to keep things that we don't access very often down here. Also in the storage area underneath the V berth is where we'd keep water. I have these Go With The Wind 2.6 gallon containers that I got off of Amazon. They work great. They didn't leak and they hold a decent amount of water. We went through one bag along with my 2-gallon container for our 2-night, 3-day trip. It worked really good. Those also get stored full down here underneath the clothing. I forgot to mention, with the water storage that I have 4 of those 2.6 gallon plastic containers that I use for water storage, and I also use this bottle here, which gives me a little over 12 gallons of storage, which would be good for this little boat. We all use water bottles like this to drink out of, and so we don't have a lot of waste. Alright, next we're going to move on to galley storage. There's a lot of good storage on this boat. The first thing that I have is this tote right here, which I keep my stove in. It's just a little gas stove that runs on butane. It also has an adapter so it can run on propane, which is nice if I need either one, and it works pretty good. And that stays in here. Some other things will go in here while we're cruising, but mostly that's it for that. Then we have food storage, which is this container here, which is empty at the moment, but I would put canned goods and different things in there. Underneath that one is dishes, cups, plates, some bags, some dining towels, and some matches, but everything you need just to eat. So we can either carry it to shore or cook on boat with it very easily. And then snacks and anything else just kind of go in here for the day, and it makes it easy to get to and in and out quick. Underneath that we have the ice box, and this is pretty good storage. I froze a gallon jug about 3/4 full, froze it, and I put it in there, and lasted about 3.5 days in pretty warm weather. But we had meats and cheeses and mustards and ketchups and hot dogs and different things in there, and it did really well. I keep the teapot in the sink pretty much all the time, just kind of out of the way, and then pots and pans go underneath here in this little cabinet here. I got a little wok style pan, and then just a pan with a lid that is a strainer, And then just another camping set in there. That's usually about all we need. Next to my food storage and dish storage, I keep a few things down here. I have a toolbox that's strapped in here with various boat parts and tools, just standard things. I keep a small drill in there, hacksaw, and screwdrivers, pliers, crescent wrenches, and clamps and stuff like that. I keep another cutting board down underneath there, and then I got a bucket full of bungee cords and ropes and extra lines, and then just an empty bucket with some tape in it. Right next to that is the porta toilet. And it's a porta toilet. Not ideal, but it's good, and it's good to use. Got some chemical for it, which works pretty good. But if we have the option, we'll go on land and use their facilities. Behind the toilet, I keep my boat hook, a manual bilge pump. There's a hose for electric bilge pump that I'm still in the middle of installing and the wiring for it. And I'll keep a few other bigger items there that I don't need quick access to, but it's nice to have. I put this in here, this divider. It's an old cutting board just to keep my food stuff from falling. I need to make a rope or a netting that make sure that these don't slide around forward. But they've stayed pretty good so far. I've put up the nice dining table. It works pretty good for a little storage space or cooking on. Haven't used it a ton, but it's got a little leg that gets tucked into this fabric down here, and it folds out of the way. It's just nice to have a little extra storage space while cooking, or playing games on, or watching a movie on. Set the iPad or tablet up there. It works pretty good. Over here on this side of the boat, I have a storage for books and magazines and boat paperwork, some cards, and a few small games. And that's pretty nice to keep things there. Also, I have this berth that I've been sleeping in. My wife and my son sleep up in the V berth. It works pretty good. It's a little tough to get in and out, but there's some nice shoulder room here, so it's not too bad. In here, just have lots of odds and ends. Some rope for the tiller clutch, a spotlight, some more tools, a little candle lantern with some candles, tape. I got my flag in there. And just a few small odds and ends that I'd like quick access to. A few tools up here, a spotting scope, toilet paper. Also, underneath this little bed here, I keep, right next to the stove, I keep my emergency kit. It's got signal flares and horns and just safety items that you need in case of an emergency. Just get stored under there. Quick access if we need them. And that's about it. Anywhere we can stuff anything, we kind of find room for. We have a small dish rack for various things, and you keep the radio here. The mic can go out to the door. A fire extinguisher. We have another fire extinguisher here if we need it. Hopefully never. And that's it for the little boat. It's can be a little cramped when we're all three here in the morning moving around, but it's doable. Cockpit's a mess right now because I have the things that are going to put in storage in the boat, getting it organized, because I'm going to be storing it for a year. Alright, that's where things go in my Sovereign 18. I can't forget the little dustpan and broom. Got to keep the tiny boat clean.